session so we know a bit about NLP background. So anyone dares to give the rest an understanding of what NLP is? Give it a try, give it a shot. Anyone? How about Mike? Mike came to a few of my sessions.
I would say the other way around, which is not a hoo-ha session. That means not just to motivate you. Then after that, maybe a few days later, you just go back to what you been in. So that would be the key thing.
Okay.
It's more for the long run.
Okay, anyone wants to share what NLP is? Abruptly, yes.
Tools and learning tools and techniques of getting where you want to be and handling situations better.
Yes. Okay. Yep. Anyone? Or read books on NLP? Has something to share? Benha?
I haven't read any book, but yeah, maybe the way you speak and can make a difference in the way somebody thinks or you yourself think.
Yep. Sure. Hitesh has something to share.
Mastering your emotions. Yeah.
Mastering your own emotions.
That's the main point.
Okay. Oh, by the way, before I forget, I really want to challenge everyone right here. After your next break, the lunch break, I really hope you all can pack up your stuff. You're going to move around. Don't sit with your own kakis, try to mix around people that you do not know. Yeah, especially that I know the group coming from the same. So we tend to stick together to work with people. Yeah, so mix around. Okay, so maybe just to add on a bit, so to understand NLP, I think the best thing to understand is the history of NLP. Just very quickly, because some of you already heard me mention this so many times, but I think it's appropriate I share what the history of NLP is so that you can have a basic understanding. So it all started because of these two men right here. Alright? And these two men are the co-founders of NLP. The one on the left, who is he? Anyone knows? His name is Dr. Richard Bandler. By the way, this may be tested, I do not know. So, this is Dr. Richard Bandler. And then there's this man on your right who is Dr. John Grinder. Okay, so these two men were the co-founders of NLP back in the 1970s, early 90s. In fact, you can take a look at, I think it's the last page. It shows the history, the timeline of how NLP evolved over the last 4 decades. So we all started in the 1970s. Now, how did it started? Because when these two men met, they have always been intrigued about what? This question here. What makes a difference? But how many of you have ever wondered, whenever you look at your colleague who is doing something better than you look at someone who's performing something better than you in the area of your life, and you ask yourself this question, what makes a difference? What is it? Why is it that this person has the same education background as me, and why is it that we have the same financial resources? Why is it this person is so much more successful than me? Yeah. So what is it? So have you ever asked yourself a question? Or this person looks as handsome, as pretty as me. Why is it he's so popular with the rest? Why am I not? So sometimes you can ask yourself certain questions. So this was a question that Richard Bandler and John Grinder were asking themselves on this one. So what makes a difference? Because they were trying to ask themselves, what makes a difference between these 3 therapies right here and the rest of the therapies? Because during the early 1970s, there were 3 very renowned therapies by the name of Virginia Satir, Fritz Perls, and Milton Erickson. Now these were all therapies were very successful and outstanding in their very own way. So Satir was the family therapist, the expert in relationships handling. That's the reason why when during the course you realize that there are many things that you learn, and why can you deal with relationship challenges so easily? Because of the things that we've actually learned from Satir. People like Fritz Perls came up with Gestalt therapy, his very own form of therapy to help people. It's not as popular today, but during those days it was really very popular. And then we have Milton Erickson, who is actually the father of modern hypnotherapies. Now what about these 3 people right here is that during the years, the early 70s, these were 3 therapists who were achieving close to a 100% record success. They work with different kinds of clients. The most difficult clients came to them, and they were always able to resolve their issues. So it led Bandler and Grinder to this idea that, hey, what if we can understand what these people do different? And can we, the next question of course they ask is, can we be as successful as them? Now what do you think is the answer?
Yes.
Yes. Of course I would say it's totally, but yes to a partially. Because later on what happened was that Bandler himself was actually not at all trained in psychology. After he had just a few minutes of, or maybe I say no, not a few minutes, maybe after months of studying what Sertier and the rest did, and he went out there and he tried to apply what he actually observed with people around him. He was able to make changes in people's life with this very, very little background on psychology. So some of you may wonder, if I want to help someone, must I be a degree holder in psychology? Must I be a master's holder? Now, I'm not saying that you don't go for the education right there. It's important to get a foundation. But what we're trying to say here is this. At the end of the day, Richard Bandler and John Grinder were so excited with what they found because they realized that in the many things that you study, whether it's your course, in your areas of your sports, or maybe whether it's in areas of business, you realize that there are actually only certain things, factors, that are very critical for your success. Not everything. Now, meaning to say, Menka is right now doing your studies work, right? You realize something like, maybe out of the 100% of the things that you study in the course, maybe only as little as 20% can really be applied in the real world, and we feel it's really effective.